Douglas Moo, a modern commentator, was talking about the uniqueness of Paul's language here in verse 14 when he says, the whole law is fulfilled in one word, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. He said many writers, when they look at this text, they say, that Paul is saying, if you want to get hung up on the law, get hung up on the thing that really epitomizes what the law teaches. Love your neighbor as yourself. But he said, it's interesting. We don't want to miss this word. It's not a throwaway word. It doesn't say you've done the whole law when you have loved your neighbor as yourself. He says that the whole law is fulfilled in one word. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. What does he mean that the whole law is fulfilled? Well, in the New Testament, the language of fulfillment is not about what we do or what we accomplish, but it is about what has been accomplished for us. And this expression that is from Leviticus 19:18, to love your neighbor as yourself, is an expression that Paul is probably not quoting from Leviticus 19:18, but from the ministry of Jesus. You see, when Jesus was asked a couple times, we see it in Matthew, we see it in Mark, we see him asking someone else in Luke, what is the summary of the law? He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And the second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. And these are all of the law fulfilled. And so here, when he says that the whole law is fulfilled in one word, Douglas Moo points out this is pointing to the end times, the eschatological fulfillment of everything that the law pointed to. It wasn't just the phrase, love your neighbor as yourself. It was the person who was the only one to do that. It was fulfilled in the life and death of Jesus Christ. And so it is by loving one another that we show that we are servants of King Jesus, that we are his subjects. For he has fulfilled all that the law has declared. And through loving one another, we are simply reflecting his leadership in our life. I'm like, man, that'll preach, which is why I'm preaching it. You see, our only hope of doing this is to continue to depend on the power of Jesus Christ at work in our life, for he is the only one to truly fulfill the statement, love your neighbor as you love yourself. He did, and through him and his Spirit, we can finally be free to be the people God has made us to be. Let's think about that as we come to this table this morning. The opportunity to come and say once again, I need to be fed on Jesus. I need to look to him and not my own strength. To finally be free, to be the woman, the man, the young person that God has called me to be. Let's pray.